Penguin Random House Audio presents Marsha, The Joy and Defiance of Marsha P. Johnson. This is the author, Tourmaline. For Dr. Che Gossett, who has guided me toward the light my whole life long, your profound dedication not only made this book possible, but also created a world where all can bask in a deeper understanding of Marsha's beauty. And for all who travel the path that Marsha P. Johnson paved with her life, thank you for carrying forward the gift of her legacy. The Times of the Village, from 14th Street to Christopher Street. The memories. People should never forget where they came from. Egypt, Labesia. Atlantic is a sea of bones. With all the negative attitudes and anti-us people in this world, we need to remember that we are unique and wonderful. We are the creative souls of humankind. Miss Major, Dear Glamour Girls. Introduction. In June 2020, during a global racial reckoning and a pivotal moment in the movement declaring Black Lives Matter, an estimated 15,000 people wearing white, brandishing colorful protest signs flooded the streets of Brooklyn to declare that Black trans lives matter. The size and intensity stunned bystanders, participants, and the organizers themselves, according to the New York Times. What began as a shared dream between Brooklyn drag queen West Dakota and West's mentor, Mary Cherry, quickly grew into a powerful organizing moment named Brooklyn Liberation, a March for Black Trans Lives. With initial support from activists Elliot Cruz and Fran Tirado, a dedicated team soon formed. This included seasoned organizers like Raquel Willis, Ian Field Stewart, Kalayan Mendoza, Peyton Dix, and Robin Ayers. Mohammed Fayez, a member of the iconic nightlife group Poppy Juice, designed the flyer. 100 volunteers supported the massive amount of work leading up to and on the day of the march. Black-led organizations such as Black Trans Travel Fund, the Ochre Project, Marsha P. Johnson Institute, Glitz for the Girls, and Black Trans Femmes in the Arts Collective played a pivotal role prior to and during the rally and march. From atop the Brooklyn Museum, the performer Junior Mint, artist and activist Joshua Abawole Allen, and movement elder Cayenne Dorshow spoke and conveyed to the crowd the pride that we as Black trans people deserve to feel. At the time, I lived within walking distance of the Brooklyn Museum. I'll never forget stepping down from my stoop in Bed-Stuy that day and seeing dozens, soon hundreds of people moving down the street in unison, all dressed in white, heading to the museum in a powerful collective affirmation of lives like mine. What felt especially moving was that I could still remember back in 2006, stepping off the train outside the Brooklyn Museum, facing down anti-trans harassment. It happened frequently. Now, these same streets where I'd once felt isolated in moments of fear were being transformed into a space for healing and safety. That day in June, Raquel Willis's voice carried for blocks in Brooklyn as she told thousands of people, "I believe in Black trans power." I felt so overcome with emotion, as if the community I had long dreamed about and worked to create was coming alive all around me. This wasn't an isolated moment either. The movement continued through the following year with the activist and costume designer Queen Jean, who rightly names herself as one of Marsha P. Johnson's spiritual daughters, leading the crowd in a chant from atop the Brooklyn Museum during the second annual Brooklyn Liberation Rally. This unprecedented attention on Black life in the United States was catalyzed from a painful phenomenon: the ongoing epidemic of police brutality against Black people, wherein police terrorize and kill Black Americans with impunity. June 2020's Black Trans Lives Matter March honored Layleen Polanco, a 27-year-old Black trans woman who died in a solitary confinement cell on Rikers Island in June 2019. Polanco suffered an epileptic seizure. Surveillance footage recovered a year later showed that Rikers guards failed to seek life-saving medical intervention for her. Polanco was being held at Rikers on $500 bail for a sex work charge. History repeats itself. In spite of making some strides in trans representation, we have not yet come as far as we deserve. Black trans people continue to navigate precarity, but the mainstream is finally asking what can be done about it. Exactly 50 years before Polanco's death, another Black trans sex worker was at the forefront of the fight against the police brutality inflicted upon poor Black and queer people. That icon was Marsha P. Johnson. Telling Marsha's story is imperative in this cultural moment, a moment when the world is finally ready to listen, to honor her life and legacy, and to connect today's fight for Black lives with the same glorious fight that began decades ago. On a hot, incendiary night in June 1969, Marsha famously stood at the vanguard of the Stonewall riots, a weeks-long uprising now widely recognized as the birth of the modern gay liberation movement. In 1960s New York City, countless bars and restaurants refused to serve gay patrons, and those that did were continually raided by police. At the time, the New York Police Department repeatedly harassed queer bargoers under the guise of enforcing cruel 3 Articles laws, wherein a person was legally required to wear 3 articles of clothing that conform to the sex doctors assign them at birth. Flaunting their style and flouting the law, drag queens like Marsha went out loudly and proudly for the evening dressed in slinky skirts, rhinestone-covered tops, costume jewelry, and colorful heels. Their very presence was an act of resistance against anti-cross-dressing laws, a resistance they were brutally punished for. The Stonewall Inn, a rowdy gay bar in New York's Greenwich Village, had only recently begun allowing queens like Marsha inside. That night, the police sauntered in like they had so many times before, except this time they declared they would be shutting down the bar for good. They began roughing up the femmes and butches and queens inside, aggressively patting them down to the point of sexual assault, pushing them against liquor-stained walls, and belittling their transgressive attire. Suddenly, like a match falling into a pool of gasoline, the scene exploded. Bar patrons resisted the police, with queens wildly swinging their purses to deflect punches and butches fighting off handcuffs. Gays and lesbians linked arms outside, screaming at the police to leave their beloved sanctuary alone, with chants of "fag power" and "liberate the bar" bouncing off the cobblestone streets. Young queers on surrounding blocks ran over to join the mayhem, lighting trash cans on fire, kissing their lovers, and freeing their friends from police constraints. Much folklore and swirling legends surround Marsha's role in the riots. Stories of her throwing a shot glass and screaming, "I got my civil rights," when cops demanded that she show them her ID. Of her climbing a lamppost to drop a bag of bricks on a police car
Sample complete. Ready to continue?